Facing challenges and overcoming setbacks is part of doing business. Whether you have the expertise to survive them or not could mean the difference between success or failure. Welcome to We Are Women, featuring revealing conversations that provide invaluable insights into the success secrets of female masterminds. A must listen for every entrepreneurial woman. Now here's your host, Janeen Vosper.
Hi, it's Janeen Vosper here, and welcome to this episode of the We Are Women podcast. I am so excited today. I don't have one person with me. I have 6 of the most amazing ladies who have all contributed to Humble Leaders. Look at that. I've been reading parts of this book and I can't put it down. It's just listening to these ladies' stories of how they became leaders. And it says here on the front, stories of courage, strength, and perseverance. And that is exactly what they are. Now, a little bit about Humble Leaders. The Humble Leaders shares the stories of 12 inspiring women from diverse backgrounds and tells us how they overcame challenges to persist and thrive in business. The leader of a national business network is among 12 women in the book and featuring stories of courage, strength, and perseverance. As the current CEO of Women's Network Australia, Janelle Bostock, welcome, Janelle, is a passionate believer in the power of connection, collaboration, empowering others, and providing opportunities for women to succeed in life, both personally and professionally. Janelle said, for women in business, struggles come thick and fast, and Humble Leaders is filled with insights, personal anecdotes, humour, sage advice, delivered in a way that feels like you are conversing with a friend. And it teaches us to be a little bit kinder to ourselves. Resolve today that you are going to spend some more time working on areas that do make a difference and less time on those that make you feel short. That's exactly how I felt when I read the few stories that I've read, is exactly that. Welcome, ladies. I've got Janelle and Ronnie and Lisa and Rachel and Margaret and Alison with me. Unfortunately, everyone couldn't be here today, but I think this is going to be enough control working with these 6 ladies, because I am positive they've got a heap of things to share. Now, Janelle, for you personally, as I had said in the intro, you are the CEO of Women's Network Australia, and I've known you now for quite a few years, and I could see that your values were, part of what you did to create that book. And so tell me, what got you thinking about, okay, this is something I want to do?
Well, yeah, thank you, Janine, and thank you for inviting us on your show today. It's an incredible honour to be here. What started us really, as you know, the old COVID word last year, looking at doing something a bit differently. We all have to do that dreaded word, pivot, adapt, and look at doing things differently within. And we all have a story to tell. Every single one of our members, amazing, incredible, and different stories. And it came about really like they're successful businesswomen in their own right, where they've come from to reach where they are today, and that opportunity. And when we're asking the different members, I don't really have a story, and why would I be in that? And that's really, as well as that humble leader, the title came from. And we've all got a fantastic story to share. And if we can actually influence our younger generation, the younger entrepreneurs, and some of our youth, and really inspire them. But also, you've got women that are in business and go, oh my goodness, I don't think I can go on. I don't think I can do this anymore. Well, if you pick up a story and read every single one of the 12 stories in this chapter are different, the diversity that's within it. And if we can influence someone else to make changes in their life, not just professionally but personally, and that gives them that opportunity. And we've also got that, they have that chance to reach out to the authors, because we're real and authentic, and that's really, I think, is the epitome of our membership too, is that you can reach out. It's not the quantity of people in the membership, it's the quality, and you're richer for it, the conversations that you have. Seriously, these women, I'm amazed with who's in the book, and yeah, keep reading those stories, Janine.
Oh, I know. I'm just amazed. I'm sort of picking them out, and then I'm going, I just want to read more.
And so then we sort of threw it on the table with my great media advisor there, Cheryl Gray, we decided to really look about what can we do that's a bit differently. Within this time, we couldn't do live events. People are getting, death by Zoom. It's getting over the Zoom factor, and this is an opportunity then to inspire others, not just within the network but outside the network, and realise you all can give it a go and get there.
Yeah. So who loved participating in it? Everyone? Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. I bet you. Did you think that when you were first asked though? You can jump in now and say, no.
Not at all. Not at all. I took a lot of convincing. I thought, why does anyone want to know about me?
And that's what happens, isn't it? When you're thinking, who am I? Who am I to even think I've got something to say? And then this beauty of words comes out, and it's so beautifully written. It's not just the stories. I'm loving how well it's written. I'm going to introduce you to Lisa Fogerty. Now, Lisa is a success strategist, and she is a lady full of passion and life, and she's commonly known as a new age Mary Poppins. I love that. My brother-in-law calls me a Pollyanna, and he thinks it's a detrimental, but I think it's awesome because it's
good.
Yeah, absolutely. So mentoring and coaching many of Australia's largest business leaders, they call on her to support and guide their people to a better work-life balance. They become better communicators, thinkers, and experiences from her BOLT, B-O-L-T methodology. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you, Janine. Yes, I'm known for my warts and all comments when I walk into a business, and I think that's why I'm really called the Mary Poppins, is because if you have watched the latest Mary Poppins, the new movie, she really does still come in with her bag of tricks, but she still does speak her mind. So, but always with a smile. So my smile is my the smiling assassin. However, all of the things that I speak to people about or with, and the questions that I ask is always around the people having the answer within. So my story in the book is one of 5 that I wrote or that I submitted because I was trying to find what it was, the message that I wanted to share, because when I was asked to share for this book, I actually lost a little bit of belief in myself, and I didn't know if I was good enough or worthy enough to be in the book. And that was actually a journey that I went on myself, and it was through the support of Janelle and the rest of the network that I ended up going on that journey to get in there. And like Janelle said, the title of Humble Leaders really did end up resonating with me. And so I went on to write a series of books after writing my chapter for this, because I'd already pre-written.
Oh, well done. Congratulations.
But the whole Mary Poppins thing, I'm really proud of that. And I'm really proud of the fact that the Women's Network Australia provides for me a village or a community for me to be myself, and the respect that these other women share for each other really does provide a network for all of us to be ourselves. Janelle,
did anyone else? I just want to ask: did anyone else find that once you started writing that there was just more than you probably? How many words were you told to write?
6,000.
3,000.
3,000.
Who first of all thought, how am I going to write 3,000? And then after you started writing, you've got like Lisa, 5 books written there. There was a ton of information. There's some nodding. There's some other people going, no,
Yeah,
3,000 was it. That was it. I was done.
No, you did open a can of worms, because there's so many different stories that you only have so many words to write. So you have to sort of choose which bits, do people want to hear, but there's I'll probably miss out all the juicy bits that people really do want to hear.
Yeah. No,
they get you to speak, Ronnie. They come and get you to speak at their events.
And there's other
Absolutely.
things, Ronnie, there's other things that you've had in your life that are really personal that you really don't know if you want to share them. And then when you're going through and you're writing your book, they come up, and that makes it harder as well. I found anyway. Sure. Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah. But Lisa, I suppose asking you, what is the main point from your story that you want people to take away?
The main message is that there is so much within you that you suppress from the mentors in life or the influences that you've had in your life, that if you can release that, there's possibly things or learnings that you've had from the past that are conditioning you and stopping you from progressing in your current life. So you really need to release that for you to be able to go on. And change is imminent, and we know that more than ever now as a society. So if there is anything that's blocking you, get help. Help is okay, and it is okay to not be okay. So the influences or the people that you thought were helping you in your earlier life, they may actually be hindering you now. So reach out to people that are successful or that you believe are successful. Have a look at your village, have a look at your current community, and it is okay to cut ties with certain people.
That's a really good point, isn't it? And who else has done that in their lives? They've reached different points and going, this is not serving me anymore to have the time in
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Reminding you, we are on Zoom, so people will be able to watch the video, but it is a podcast as well. So while you're nodding,
yes,
it's very quiet.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good point, Janine. Yeah.
Okay, we got that.
Can I add, just to, seeing as we're all nodding here, we talk to ourselves is just as important to how we talk to others. Words that speak are extremely important. So even the silent words that we give ourselves are just as important as the words that we speak out loud. So that's my...
Yeah, that's such a good point, Lisa. And I find that, you know, I'm doing a little bit of things that you do, but that same sort of point, isn't it? I work with people who may not, they'll verbally say negative things about themselves, but then you know there's a lot more processing going on that you can't hear as well. And I'm hoping that when people read the book, I know when people read the book and read the stories, they're going to be able to look at the achievements and everyone, from the stories that I've read so far, everyone's gone through these who am I, these negative moments to, you know, to be able to then go, hey, wow, I've created something really successful here. So which is wonderful. Yeah.
And there's more to come, Janine.
Oh, good.
And I think I might add that, you know, telling my story, it's probably the first time I've revealed a lot and peeling back the layers. And I know I caught up with Ronnie after the conversation on the couch the other night and probably told more. So it feels like, wow, it feels like you reveal your soul a bit more, which you suppress down a bit and don't share. And because we look back reflective on your journey, on how much growing up in the country and in the community has helped you where you are now, or just looking back and reflecting on life, and then culling out the bad bits that we don't need in our life anymore. Yeah.
And it's, there's a couple of things there, Janelle, that sort of grabbed me when you were speaking, is that the perception that other people see us as, and it's not necessarily who we are or what's going on, but it's that perception that we're putting out to the world. But there's also the point of we wouldn't be where we are with all the knowledge we have if we hadn't experienced the experiences that we've had and had the opportunities along the way. Talking about Ronnie, now Ronnie Benlow has, after 15 years of caring responsibilities, she established the Carers Foundation in Australia and has worked tirelessly. I read your part. I was exhausted reading it, thinking about how much you have done for caring for people. Oh my gosh, Ronnie, hats off to you. That's phenomenal. And to raise awareness and help with the funds for the unpaid family, because I didn't know there was so many carers out there that are looking after other people and such young children too. So because of her dedication, in 2021, Ronnie was nominated for Queensland Australian of the Year and also awarded the Moreton Bay Citizen of 2021. Today, the Carers Foundation is the only charity in Australia that provides wellness programs for carers at no cost to it. And that amazed me also, and I love that you got the shirt on. You are at a retreat now, aren't you?
I am. I'm right in the middle of a retreat. We've got some carers here at the moment which we're looking after. So
tell me, why did you decide to contribute to the book?
Oh, well, basically, I was quite humbled, obviously, to be asked to start with. I thought, like, same story. Why? No one's interested in my story. What do they want to know about me for? But it was really purely, I guess, to raise awareness for the Carers Foundation and unpaid family carers that are doing it really tough and don't get the support and are actually falling apart at home, often suicidal because they don't get enough support doing what they do. And I just think people just have no idea unless you've been there or been in that situation, so I think it's really important to raise that awareness and get it out there. So, yes, it's been great. I'm really glad that Janelle did approach me to do it because it has raised a lot of awareness. It's made it, which I always hid behind the scenes just doing what I do. But I do have to get out there and sort of be more vocal about what we do, and it's happening. It's been great, actually.
What was the number of carers Australia-wide?
So registered carers is 2.7 million according to government statistics, but I mean they're just carers that are registered with the government, so they sort of probably get a carer allowance or a carer payment or a carer pension. But clearly there are other family members that are caring for their loved one that are injuries or disabilities or for whatever reason that aren't in the system, so to speak. So, the majority of the carers that we have here are not in the system. They don't receive any allowances or support from government. And they're the ones that are just not coping and falling apart and hit that crisis point where they just, arrive suicidal. It's just, devastating to see the state when they get here to when they leave in 3 days, which totally transforms them. So that's why we do what we do, is seeing those changes. It's just really rewarding. Yeah. It's exhausting, but it's really rewarding, which is why I did establish a foundation, because I knew the impact of caring and I know the impact of what we do.
And what about the other authors? Were you aware of all of the figures before you had any idea? No, nodding your head. Nodding your head.
Oh,
good. I'm glad you answered.
I would have loved. I would have loved to have known about Ronnie because my life changed when my husband got sick in 2001, and basically I was his chief carer and running a business up until he passed away in 2018. And people used to say to me, "Oh, how do you do that?" Well, Ronnie, you just take one step at a time and you keep going, and you don't know that there is help out there. Gosh, I wish I had have known, because it's hard, and that's probably for me one of the reasons why I did contribute, because it brought back feelings. And listening to Ronnie, and even when she was talking at the Queen Street Mall about what she did, I just think, oh my God, that's just an amazing thing that you've done. It's incredible. I'm in awe of you, actually.
Oh, no, there's no need to be in awe of me at all.
Yeah, the story was, I was in awe of you too, Ronnie. So I think that anyone who reads it. Alison, you were going to comment on something there too?
Oh, I just said that those numbers were astonishing. When I read it, it was wow. Yeah.
I think what's more astonishing is people don't even have any idea that there are children out there doing this on their own.
No.
And I'm talking really young children, like three of our young carer ambassadors. They've been caring since they were 8 years old, just twins and a 10-year-old, my 10-year-old at the time, caring for grandma, mum and her 3 disabled siblings, until she was 18. And finally, it's just the devastating effects, and really they end up with PTSD because of the trauma they endure, missing out on their teenage years, not having any of that fun that they know. It's just their life is just one big ball of stress, because they're doing things that many adults don't even get to do in their lifetime. And that's what I'm really passionate about, is these kids, because 2 out of 3 have got severe mental health issues. It does affect them for life. Like one of the girls, their mum passed away when they were 18, the twins, and they're 24 now, and they're really struggling. They're just not coping at all. It's all catching up with them, because they at first was relief when mum went, because there was no, they didn't have to deal with that daily stress every day, and they could do things they couldn't do before, like normal things, going to movies, going out with their friends. But now they've realised that, well, mum has gone forever and dad's moved on, and they're sort of on their own, they're isolated. All the impact of not being a normal teenager. It's devastating to see. But
there's so much more to it. And I really hope that when, people read each of the different chapters, and if there's something that touches their soul, that they investigate it a little bit more, and whether that's something that they might be able to offer and contribute themselves, or take away ideas. Yeah, thank you, Ronnie. And talking about that, Margaret.
Yes.
Margaret Campbell Ryder.
Yep.
Now, this iconic woman's, I love this iconic woman's contribution to the development of Brisbane's community is endless, including her tenure with Brisbane City Heart, fashion and retail industry, and the arts. So gallery owner for 20 years, and I love all the artworks in the background there too. She has passionately supported and encouraged and mentored artists to succeed, challenging their creativity, and is renowned for her internship programs for art students. I can't imagine the fascination of meeting so many creatives and what they're able to achieve, Margaret.
Oh, look, most of them are shy, and you have to bring them out of themselves, and that in itself is hard. And while I've got 120 artists I represent here at the gallery, and while I was looking after them, because a lot of them have mental issues, particularly the artists, I won't talk about the fashion people, but the artists do have mental issues. Some have schizophrenia. They've all sorts of mental issues. And while I was doing that, I was still caring for Graham, who I think I just about know every ICU hospital in Brisbane. And I was doing both. And I found that hard. And people used to say to me, oh, what's your story? I said, I don't have a story. And somebody wrote that piece about me, about what I did. And I was part of Brisbane City Heart Business Association, which ran the city, and they're all men on that committee, and I was there I was nominated and elected to that board, and I was so fortunate to be able to gather the experience of people like Wal Bishop, Sir Robert Mathers, all of those people, but there were no women around at that time, and I found that quite extraordinary, but I guess that's my age as well. I had a lot to do with, we had 7-day trading. We got that in Brisbane. So I'm all over the place here. It's a creative mind. It goes crazy.
Oh, that's okay. It's interesting. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I through there, I was thrown into, Graham would say, I've just had somebody from the Queensland Turf Club that want us to revise the fashions on the field. And he said, I'd do it. You would do it. And you just think, oh my God, what do I do? And, we turned it into one of the biggest events. And I had the first lot I did was I had judges like Julia King from Louis Vuitton, the head of Australian Vogue, the head of Vivian's model management. They all went on strike on me because I had too many contestants in there and they couldn't fit them in on the time. And you're thinking, what do you do? But you don't panic when you're confronted with not just this, but anything else. As the girls will know, we've all come up against things that happen that you don't think, oh God, I'm going to lose the plot. You just go ahead and do it. And that's what we do. And I think probably is why we don't feel, I don't feel that I'm different to anybody else. And why should I be here? And
that's what I was going to ask. Is that part of the, one of the main points that you want people to take away? Or is there other, I haven't read yours yet, Margaret, so I've got to get to that one.
Well, one of the things that I believe that we should be doing is when somebody gives you an opportunity, don't be negative about it. Just think, okay, well, how am I going to do this? And that's what I hope that people will take away from my story, that don't let what's happening in your personal life, and I mean, I've had so many things that have happened apart from what's in the book that could have stopped me from doing all these things, but I didn't. And something drove me. And I have this theory that I don't know, I can't do it. And I've always believed in anyone that's worked with me or under me or as part of my mentorship is to make them be the best of themselves that they can be. And I've often been told to say, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be a buyer for Barney's in New York. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be the head of PR for the University of Sydney. And, I get stopped a lot, and a lot of the art students that come through here, they come in as little babies and walk out knowing, you just see them that they've grown in that short time, and giving them the confidence to do that, where I never had that. When I was in my business and working throughout, there were no men, there were no women, they were all women, they're all men. When I was headhunted to take over Splendifus, which is an iconic brand from years ago.
I remember it. So absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I was headhunted to take that over, and at the time when I did take it over, there was only one other woman running a national fashion chain, and she was the head of Katie. So I had no one else. There's no one you could talk to. You just had to get on and do it yourself. But I did find at the time the men that I was dealing with, as I mentioned before, were really helpful. They didn't treat me like this female. They treated me like an individual. And that's what I hope that we can all have, is that we're all treated, not me, not female, not male, but as a person doing a job. And that's what we are. We may be women, but we are people doing something, and we should be applauded for doing that, I think. But life's hard. Life is really hard, and you just have to get on with it. And I've been through some pretty horrific life-saving or life whatever
threatening
things myself, life-threatening things that myself that I don't know. When I look back and when we're writing the book, I thought, how the hell did I get through that? Yet for somehow you do. You just do. And it's just something that I don't know whether you get it from your parents, whether you get it from other people, or where it comes from, or where it comes from the heart. It just happens, I think. And my artists here I love them. I absolutely love them. I've lost quite a few in the last number of years, and I didn't realize how close I was to them, and it affects me quite a lot. So I do give my heart out to them, probably. Yeah.
So, and that I didn't mention in the intro, it's the Red Hill Gallery that you are at also.
Yes.
Janelle, when you were choosing the people for the book, did you have half an idea of the stories that these people had?
Oh, well, one thing I do, Janine, is I step back and make contact with our members and have conversations, and it's about getting to know them and their backstory and what they're about. So it's not just a business name, but what else they have. And as Margaret's telling her story, well, I would catch up with Marg a few times over the years, and I'll find out a few more things, what she's done, and I go, what haven't you done? So I'd really know about her story. It's amazing. Rachel, that you'll hear from shortly, we sort of have a common thing with the country, with the dairy farm. Well, she's got a lot more cattle than what dairy farm than what my family do, but just finding out her story a bit more. And just really, everyone in the book, I know a bit about them, but I found out a lot more about them by reading their story too, and getting to know them, each and every one of them. And it's just amazing. One that's not here is, Adrian Fleming's not on here, and I just love her story about how when she was 6, she looked up and she saw a plane go overhead, and I'm going to fly one day. And when she was actually at school, when they asked what her career aspirations was, she wanted to be a pilot. And they said, oh, dear, you mean an air hostess? No, I'm going to be a pilot. So wait till you read her chapter. But everybody, and Alison with the backstory with the grandma and the heritage with the property, like I've known some of the stories what Alison's been involved with, but I thought, wow, I found out something I didn't know. So it was just great to read the stories, and each and every one in the book, I'm very proud of each and every one of them and their stories. I know they'll influence someone, and even one of the authors, I think it was Karen Burko, she's not here online, read Rachel's chapter and then said, I'm going to buy her book. So she went and purchased Rachel's other book that she's written. So, it's that influence, and if we can make the difference to just one person in their life.
I'm sure. I'm sure it's going to make a difference to more than one person.
Janine, can I just say something? If it wasn't for Janelle, I don't think any of us would have done this. And I know that I had to rely on Janelle a lot through this process, and I think that every one of the people us that are in the book would probably feel the same way. And I can't thank Janelle enough for giving support, not just to me, but I guess to all of us actually. And she has her own story.
I definitely concur with that. December, what's it? Yeah, December last year, I did a vision board with a group of people on the island, and I cut out the words author. I sent a photo to Janelle, and you remember that, Janelle? And Janelle, I need your help. I put the words on here, and she said, "Oh, dare to dream. I love those words. We're about to do a Christmas party." She said, "May I use those words?" I said, "Absolutely, you use those words, but you help me be an author." And she said, "I'll do that." So we exchanged words, and here I am in a book as an author with Janelle.
Wonderful. Thank you.
To do a Christmas party called Dare to Dream. So,
and I think, some of us, we have a story and always say, we're going to write a book, we're going to do this. Well, this is a great opportunity to start. And as Lisa mentioned, she's now got 5 books that she's sort of half written or got ready to go. But it gets you on that journey to start writing, where we've all got a story to tell. And this is just a little bit to kick off with.
Yeah.
we'll help each other.
Yeah. No, that's it's fantastic.
Yeah.
One chapter that I have read is Rachel's. And Rachel works with a variety of individuals and businesses and CEOs, both locally and internationally, simply because we all have blockages and doubts and limited thinking, money and staffing issues. And she's got in brackets, and if you don't know, you are probably one of the 3% who is unconscious confident, who may find difficult to transfer your success skills to your staff and family. Rachel loves helping you create success, not only in your business, but other areas of your life. Well, Rachel, I was reading your chapter and again, like Ronnie's, I'm exhausted going, oh my gosh, this lady is a super overachiever. It was phenomenal what you did, but it just seemed natural to you.
Yeah, it was interesting. I just always had a desire to be more and have more and do more. And there was just this persistence within me that wanted to create a better life than what I'd had growing up as a child. And I remember making a decision at about the age of 12 when my mum lost her job and got sick, and we had to move into a housing department area, and I was going to have to be pulled out of the local school because she couldn't afford the school fees. And I just remember going, that is never going to happen. When I get older, I'm going to make sure I get a really good education. I'm going to be able to put my kids into the schools I want, and I'm going to be better. So I went out and got the good education, but it didn't create the success in my life that I thought it was going to. And so I think everything that the ladies have talked about, I think, Margaret, you were touching on, we can't connect the dots looking, forward. We can only ever connect them looking back. And many of us that have experienced the lack or the limitation or loss or something that we haven't had in our life have inspired us to become more and to give more. And, you're right. If anyone picks this book up and whoever resonates with somebody within the book, if it changes one life for the better, that's what the stories are about. I believe everybody sharing their stories and their vulnerabilities.
That just made me goosey. That's true. If one person gets something out of it. Yeah.
I was at an event last night and they were all speaker trainers, and that's exactly one of the reasons people said what they do was because of getting that message across to one person, being able to change their lives. And Rachel, reading your story, I found that that sense of drive, that was internal for you. Did you find that there was an external influence on that also? Was that just who you were, or this is...
No, that was who I was. My parents will say you brought yourself up and, you went out there to seek what you wanted. I think I've always had that internal drive, and it's to do with the thirst for life as well and for living. But for me, it's really understanding. I just wanted to understand, how could people do better in their life, or what were they doing? There was always this drive of how I could help people. And so my learnings and what I've learned and my experiences are what I share with others to try and inspire and help them to do the same thing. And for me, it was about creating more wealth in my life. And it didn't matter, we'd come from the ethos and being on the farm. It didn't matter how hard we worked. We just couldn't seem to get ahead. Mm-hmm. And that conditioning was not helping us. So when I found the magic sauce and, working with my mentor, I went, oh my goodness, how do we not know this? And I just wanted to share it with everybody and helping people to change their mindset around their self-image and what they believe they were, could be capable of, rather than, being your worst enemy, that little voice that's chatting to you in your head. As Lisa was commenting, learning how that needs to become your best friend. It needs to become the biggest encourager. You need to be your own coach and to back yourself and believe in yourself. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking, is that the main point that from you contributing that you want people to take away? Is that sense of back yourself, or is
well, not in the sense of back yourself, it's the belief. Every single one of us has got infinite potential inside of us, and we've never been taught how to access that. Yeah. And if you've come through life with, a belief that you're not good enough, or that you're not worthy, or you lack confidence, and it doesn't matter where you are in life, whether you are as a CEO, a leader, a mum, an employee, wherever you are, know that you can change how you feel about you. And when you change that, everything changes.
Yep, that's true.
And that's, I think that's a really good point throughout the book, that the things I've read so far is exactly that. You can change. Yes. It's making it that decision to do that, isn't it?
Yeah. And most of us aren't aware of that. And I think that comes through all of our stories, in that, when we're going through this, we're not aware that we can change, but as we transform, we can help others to do the same thing, and knowing and giving you permission. It doesn't have to be like that. Just because you've been conditioned that way doesn't mean you need to stay there. Take my hand, borrow my belief in you until you've built your own.
No, absolutely. And Janelle mentioned about how many cattle do you have? Yours is dairy, isn't it?
My husband and I have got 1,000 dairy cows. And
oh my goodness.
As I stepped into my dreams and my passions, I quit. It was the best thing I did. Because I was I'm really good at helping other people build their dreams, because that was my self-image. It would hold me back from building my own. So as I stepped into that, it was all about creating what I wanted for me.
Well done. That'd be a nice feeling. Well done. I can imagine that conversation. Oh, by the way, I love you, but I quit.
Yeah. Good for you, Rachel.
Yeah. I can't imagine that would be an easy task, milking 1,000 dairy cattle twice a day.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go. A busy job. Thank you.
Long days too.
Thank you. Yeah, I can imagine. But Now, Rachel, all I've got is that you work at LJ Hooker, but I know that Alison. Is not yours.
That's Alison.
Oh, sorry, Alison. Yes. But that's not your story, and I know there's so much more to that. Now, you've been in property investing, and it's been a part of a family thing. So I want you to tell me a little bit more about you, because I don't have the intro to
Yeah, sure. So, real estate only came into my life at the latter stages of my career, but I have to say that I found home when I decided to make that step into real estate. So my background has always been in sales and marketing and business development of some degree, and I've had a range of other businesses. The first business that I bought was a dating agency, a relationship consultancy. So I was a matchmaker.
Oh, that's different. That would have been fun.
Yeah, it was great. It was an emotional roller coaster, because it also had some sad and some quite stressful times as well, because we were basically following all of our clients' emotional journeys through relationship breakdowns and, new relationships and things like that. So it was a very interesting role, and I did that for a decade, and I don't regret a minute of it. It taught me a lot about people, about relationships, about how we interact with one another, and I doubt that I would be as good a real estate agent had I not have had that background in matchmaking to start with. And I've had an advertising company, and my husband runs an accounting practice, and so I had a lot to do with business to business advisory, sort of from that accounting and marketing and sales sort of background. So when I found real estate, I found that I was able to weave all of those skills and those passions into the one, because I'm still matchmaking. I'm still, to be honest, I'm still helping people fall in love. It's just that it's with a home now rather than with a partner. So I get to help those partners move into their home that they've fallen in love with. I'm obviously still very strongly involved with marketing and advertising, because that's how I get the best results for my vendors. So my marketing background assists me to do a really good strategy for launching a property and getting it sold. So all of those skills sort of come in, and now I am really focusing on what I'm passionate about, and that is ensuring that everyone has a place that they love. I think everyone deserves to have that space where they feel safe, nurtured, and one where it can inspire them and rejuvenate them. And I think that our home does that. And I think if we have that space, the way we show up in the world is far, far better as a result of having that space exactly how we intend to have it.
I don't think I've ever heard a real estate agent use those words before. I can see why that would make you successful at what you do, Alison.
Yeah, I think people have lost sight with what we're actually there to do, and that is to help people to create a home and have a place that they love. So yeah, but I think I do owe my genes to my great-grandmother, who I obviously never met and only had stories of, and I didn't know about this as a young child, but found out later that she actually in the 1800s owned 14 properties in Hobart on her own, in her name, without her husband knowing about it. So
didn't know that.
virtually unheard of to own one, let alone 14. Yeah. So she was definitely a property
She was a pioneer.
tycoon.
Yes, she was.
And so I think, like I often went to my grandmother's house, which was a house that my great grandmother and great grandfather built. And I just loved going to that house. I got a lot of fond memories of heading along to visit my nana at that house and exploring the house. And my siblings and I used to love going upstairs and exploring. And then there was also a little room off the hallway where Nana kept newspaper clippings and things like that. And I still can see vividly being in that room and rummaging through the newspapers and the other things that were there. So I always found that very interesting. And it's definitely something that was part of me right from a very early age. And I've only just really discovered that, having gone through a number of careers and then getting into my real estate career and then realising exactly how important it is for people to have a sense of place and a sense of home.
Yeah, absolutely. So why did you decide to contribute to the book, apart from being strong-armed by Janelle?
Yeah, so initially I didn't decide. So I'm on the leadership team for Women's Network Australia. So I head up the events down here in Hobart. And so Janelle and I obviously talk regularly about things that are happening in WA, and she obviously was, able to share with me what was happening with the book idea. And at the first port of, that conversation, it was like, okay, well, let me find you some authors to participate. So I was basically there to help Janelle fill the book with some beautiful and wonderful, deserving authors. And then it just dropped into conversation about, well, are you going to be in the book? And it was like, oh, okay, well, hadn't thought about that. But then I thought, well, yeah, I'd love to be a part of this. I just thought it was an amazing initiative, and I thought it was an exciting thing to be a part of, and to put my hand up to be a part of the first one, I thought was an opportunity too hard to pass up.
Oh, yeah, wonderful. But yes, and just before we wrap up, because we're doing really well, I've just enjoyed conversation so much. Starting with Janelle, so that you're talking about a second book, which is fantastic. and giving more opportunity for people to become authors, and giving more opportunity for people to hear their stories or read their stories as well. That is, what is the best thing that you personally have experienced by being part of this project, being part of the Authors in Humble Leaders?
Part of myself or collectively, I've just really enjoyed.
For you personally too, as well.
Yeah. Well, I've really enjoyed getting to know each and every one of the authors in the book and reading their stories. And I had the great job of actually reading through and helping to fine tune or critique the stories. So what do you think of this? I went, oh wow, well, just flowed so well, and some of the backstories I just didn't know, and it just resonated so much with us. But can I just skip around now, because we've got Marg online here, Margaret Campbell Ryder, the cover of the book. Now, we were tossing around different ideas and concepts, and it was actually Alison and Rachel said, well, what about a beautiful statue? Or, surely Marg's got a lovely piece of artwork or something that shows that. And this is how it came up. And we had Amelia in one of our magazines, so the Women's Network mag. I went, I thought, I know the exact piece. So that we pulled out the magazine, all of us online, it was just in unison, said, yes, that's it. I just remember all the different ideas going around. Of course, there was someone, putting up the ideas that just wasn't cutting the mustard. So we sort of all agreed. So I credit Rachel and Alison for. Yeah. So what about?
Fantastic. And you know what? So for the people who are watching this on Zoom, you can see the book covers. For those that are listening to it on podcast, you are going to have to buy a book to go and see the book cover. Okay. Yeah. So what about you, Lisa? What's your your biggest joy, or what for you personally taking away, other than the other 5 books you've got happening?
For me personally, it was the collaboration and the growth of me as an individual, the understanding of how much it takes, the depth that I needed to go to get a very clear understanding of how much growth it takes for an individual to be able to take themselves to the next level. So I believe that I've become a better transformational coach.
Wonderful. And Ronnie?
Yes.
What
a takeaway, or what? My message, I guess.
The takeaway for the message, but also what you got out of it.
It's been great just collaborating with so many, incredible women, I guess, hearing their stories, and, you get inspired by everybody else. You think, you really haven't really done that much, and you hear all the stories that they've done as well. Just being able to be involved and network with these women, it's just been amazing. I think ongoing, we've sort of formed a few of us have formed quite a stronger, relationship, and we'll definitely be able to collaborate and do a few things, together ongoing as well. So that's been really important.
Yeah, wonderful. Margaret, what about you?
I think it's getting my life back. My husband passed away in 2018, and that last 12 months of his life was very hard for me. And I virtually just became a hermit looking after him. And writing this book, I've taken my life back. I'm doing things. I'm meeting my friends again, and they're all still there. And it's given me that confidence to also reinvent, go back to Women's Network. Thank you to Janelle, and just all those little things that have helped me through a really difficult time. And after reading through my story or regurgitating my story, I've become myself.
That's
I'm
wonderful.
me.
Yeah, that's a wonderful person to become, isn't it? Fantastic. What about you, Rachel? You are muted.
I was really thinking about how stories connect us. stories are what, you know, can bring our emotions up. They can bring our, you know, us down. We can connect with sadness and tears. And, you know, I think, you know, we're now bound, the 12 of us as authors with this book, to be able to connect with one another, you know, has been amazing as part of Women's Network Australia. But I think, you know, really the message that I feel that, you know, that I got out of it, and again, it's what I'm living, and I'm hearing Margaret saying it as well, was a quote of, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me my husband or wife or kids think I should be, not the me, you know, I think my parents think I should be. If I want to be free, I've got to be me. So I better find out who me is. And I think sharing our stories, it helps us realize who we are and who we've become. And I think that's the greatest joy, even in listening to everybody talking about who we are and how it's given us all confidence in our vulnerability and courage and sharing our stories.
Yeah,
wonderful.
It has.
Yeah, I love that. I love that saying. If I want to be free, I've got to be me. Yeah. Unfortunately, and it's not just women, but I think women have more of a tendency to adapt to those requiring and needing us around us, and feeling into that role. What about you, Alison?
I agree in terms of the connection. That's probably the number one, the connection with the other authors, and also the connection with the reader, those that have already picked up the book that have then responded to me and let me know what they've got from the book. But for me personally also, the story that's in the book is not the story that I started writing. So it was through starting to write that story that I thought that I was going to write, that I then actually discovered what was happening in my life and why. Like Rachel talks about that, the unconscious competence, you know, because I have had a very successful career path and life. And the book actually enabled me to put my finger on what it was, and that was the way that I respond and my self-belief to get me through whatever comes my way, because I looked back and went, wow, you know, I have dealt with a lot in my life, but it's affected me in a very different way to that similar situation affecting, you know, someone else. So it was very good to uncover all of that for me.
Wonderful. And just before we wrap up, Janelle, now I've got to here, you can read more about Janelle's inspiring book, Humble Leaders, everybody's inspiring stories in Humble Leaders. It's available from Dymocks and online.
Brisbane.
Yes. Dymocks Brisbane, and online through womensnetwork.com.au.
Correct.
/Humble Leaders.
Anything
you want to add, Janelle?
And also each of the authors have it on their website and connections as well. So please reach out if you want to get in touch, read the stories, and we're certainly available for any speaking opportunities too. If we can inspire anyone, we'd love to. And I know Ronnie had certainly at the Brisbane Hub, they loved your story. We had a book launch there and got Ronnie back on Conversation on the Couch. So it's a great opportunity, but thank you. And I am humbled too with the stories and the authors within the book. And thank you for making it such a great success. And thanks for inviting us today, Janine. It's been incredible.
Oh, it's been fun. I love hearing everyone's story. So, and another little bit of written on this, which I love. No matter where your career path lies, you are certain to find comfort and inspiration in this book in hearing raw struggles, roadblocks and shortfalls that accompany success. And I think that is a really good wrap up of what Humble Leaders is all about. Thank you very much, everybody, for making the time today. Thank you for sharing what you shared. And I'm sure it will inspire people to, be themselves, but it'll inspire them maybe to do something that they didn't think that was possible for them to achieve, and inspire them to go out and buy a copy of Humble Leaders. Thank you again.
Thank you, Janine.
Thank you,
Janine.
Bye, everyone.
And that's another episode of the We Are Women podcast. Oh, we've already lost one. That's another episode of the We Are Women podcast. I'm so glad that you could join me and all my guests on today. And remember, if you've got any queries or you're not sure about where you're heading in your business life, then please go to janeenvosper.com, jump on a free strategy call. I'd love to have a conversation and see where I might be able to assist you or can direct you to somebody who can. Have a wonderful time until you are back with the next episode of the We Are Women podcast. Bye-bye for now.
So, do you feel stuck in a rut in business? Visit speechperfect.com.au and download Janeen's free ebook to avoid the 5 most common stumbling blocks women face in business. It's jam-packed full of tips to overcome the barriers that could be holding you back from the success that you dream your business will be. We would love you to leave a review of today's episode and share this podcast with other women in need of entrepreneurial inspiration. Subscribe to the next episode now and join the We Are Women community.